We are following a developing story tonight. A woman in her 80s is in life-threatening condition after being stabbed near Shepherd and McCowan. Police say they have a suspect in custody.
Plus, calls for justice and change. Hundreds gather for a community rally demanding all levels of government to do more to put an end to Toronto's gun violence. It comes after an 8-year-old boy was killed by a stray bullet.
Also this hour, 24 hours after getting on the phone with Donald Trump, Mark Carney announces he's dropping counter tariffs on most American goods. We have reaction from Ottawa, the White House, and Queen's Park.
This is Live at 5. Hello, I'm Sija Liu.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thanks so much for joining us and welcome to Live at 5. Police say a suspect is in custody after a stabbing in Scarborough that left an elderly woman with life-threatening injuries.
CP24's crime analyst Steve Ryan joins us live from the scene near Shepherd and McCowan with the latest. Steve, what do we know so far?
Well, Sija, please tell us that the scene is 21 Hallbank Terrace in Scarborough. It's the house behind me here that's been cordoned off with police tape. Not a lot of information right now, but we are expecting an update from the duty inspector at 5:30 this afternoon. What I can tell you is that police received a call at 1:40 p.m. regarding a stabbing. When they arrived on scene, they found a woman in her 80s. She had suffered an apparent stab wound where she's been rushed to hospital where she remains in life-threatening condition. Now, I did speak with a neighbor when we first arrived on scene, and she talks about what she saw with regards to this woman in her 80s pacing back and forth on the driveway with what she believed were stab wounds. Here's what she said to me. Let's listen.
I came out and I saw the lady standing there in her driveway, and I just walked up and down the street, and when I came back out, I saw her getting taken away in the paramedics. Yeah, and then the police came and they were putting up the yellow tape. So I'm not too sure what happened, but she was injured badly.
Now, neighbors tell me that the woman in her 80s lived in this home with her husband. As far as who else lived there, we don't know as of right now. The duty inspector arrived here about 40 minutes ago. He has been briefed by the uniform officers that are here on the scene, so I will imagine we would get some more details at this 5:30 update. Let's head back to you guys.
Okay, we'll watch for that. Steve Ryan reporting live in Scarborough tonight. Steve, thanks so much. Also in Scarborough, a pedestrian is fighting for their life in hospital after being hit by a vehicle.
This collision happened in the intersection of Bellamy Road and Lawrence Avenue East shortly after 2 this afternoon. Police say the pedestrian suffered life-threatening injuries. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene. There's no word yet on what led to the crash or if any charges will be laid.
Well, police are trying to locate a suspect in an assault in the city's East End tonight.
Investigators are looking for 33-year-old DeMarlo Garrick after someone was attacked in the Kingston Road and Woodbine Avenue area yesterday. Police allege the suspect got into an altercation with the victim before tripping them and kicking them in the head. Garrick is described as 6 feet tall with a thin build and black hair. Anyone with information is asked to call police or Crime Stoppers.
Well, neighbors are being credited with helping a family escape their burning home in Georgetown overnight.
It happened just before 4:30 at a house on Arbor Glen Drive near Main Street and Maple Avenue. It appears there was an explosion that blew the garage doors off the property. The home was completely destroyed. Flames spread to 2 adjacent homes, but fortunately everyone made it out safely and no serious injuries were reported. We spoke to a neighbor who helped rescue a family from the burning home.
We came to see if they were okay. We heard screaming in the back. So Patrick and we ran to the back. We jumped over the fence. And then they were up there. We saw a window. They were all 4 of the kids where their family was there screaming, help, help. We saw plywood. Patrick saw plywood next to the neighbor. We took that. We put that against the house. And we just like, yo, just jump, just jump. First kid jumped. Patrick caught him. The second kid, we got him. And then the husband and wife, we got a ladder from the neighbor.
Halton police don't believe this fire is suspicious. The Ontario Fire Marshal has been called in to investigate the cause.
Now to Brampton, a suspicious fire there is under investigation.
The fire at a home on Tundra Swan Road near Torbram Road and Sandalwood Parkway was reported around 2 o'clock in the morning. It went to a second alarm. There were no injuries here, but Peel police have not said if the fire is suspicious, but they do say it's being investigated, and the fire marshal's office has been notified.
Now, a rally to end gun violence was held outside City Hall this morning following the murder of 8-year-old Javay Roy.
Yeah, dozens of people gathered near the water fountain in Nathan Phillips Square to call for justice for Javay, who was killed after being shot while laying in bed with his mother in their North York apartment last weekend. His mother, Holly, was in attendance, still coming to terms with what happened, still incredibly emotional, angry too. She says she feels the support and Javay's name will not be forgotten.
I don't know where I go from here. I'm gonna fight hard for him. Oh my God, the GoFundMe has been so generous. I did not expect it to raise so much money. So we're gonna do something in his honor with, we gotta rebuild. We have to rebuild and start a new home and a new life. But the remainder is I'm gonna do something charitable in his honor.
We need to act. One of the key things the organizations here are talking about is poverty. It's about dealing with the social cause and the root cause of violence. We need to deal with that. We also need to get those illegal American guns that are killing people. 9 out of 10 guns are illegal American guns. We need to stop them from coming across the border. Those that are already in the city, we need to get rid of them and make sure that there are enough programs for young people so that they don't pick up the guns in the first place.
Indigenous groups and anti-gun violence advocates organized today's rally. They are calling for systemic changes and community accountability so something like Javay's murder never happens again.
We're looking to amend the Young Offenders Act. We're looking to create a law specific to Indigenous peoples that protects Indigenous people from any acts of violence, whether that be deliberate or reckless, as a hate crime. We are the inherent people of this land. We have not been taken care of by Canada, and it's time that Canada stands up and says Indigenous lives matter.
I was immediately triggered, outraged, sad, just heartbroken. When I found out it was a friend of mine's son, it made it that much worse. Because you, as a mother who's already experienced this type of loss, you don't want other mothers to ever have to go through what you have already gone through. And now not only is it a woman, a mother that, was a stranger, as a mother that I actually know and love. So it's very traumatizing.
Now, a community town hall on gun violence is set to take place in Javay Roy's community next month. Police Chief Myron Demkew is expected to attend.
It's 5:08. Let's check in on the commute with CP24 traffic specialist Angela Encia-Yeboah. Good evening, Ange.
Oh, good evening, Sija. And I'm smiling because I'm happy I'm inside and not on the road. So if you're making your way on the northbound 410, you won't be smiling all that much. We have problems slowing down the drive into Brampton. So northbound 410, this is through Queen. It's the 2 right lanes blocked. It is just a stalled vehicle, but another tow is on scene. Maybe they're fighting for the vehicle. Not too sure what's going on, but those 2 right lanes are occupied. If you're traveling on the southbound lanes of the 410, MTO hasn't zoomed in, but you can see in the distance that it is the 2 left lanes that are blocked following a collision. So a tough go if you're making your way into or out of Brampton. Problems as well on the westbound at 401. This is as you make your way past Victoria Park. You'll find the left lane blocked with a 2 vehicle crash. And also you're dealing with problems which cleared on the eastbound 401. Finally, all lanes reopened following a serious situation where a truck lost its load of debris. And we do have one problem. This is on the eastbound lanes of the Gardner in the Express. Just as you head through Islington, stalled vehicle off to the side, but Toronto Transportation is blocking that left lane. A heads up if you're headed towards Bellamy, still blocked both ways at Lawrence following a serious collision involving a pedestrian. Eastbound Lawrence also blocked at Bellamy.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
Well, thanks so much. It's 5:09, 26 degrees, and you're watching Live at 5 on Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
Now, Canada is dropping many retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. We'll have reaction to the latest developments in the trade war coming up. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is ending counter tariffs on most American goods covered by the CUSMA free trade agreement, while they remain on key sectors like auto, aluminum, and steel.
Carney made the announcement a day after discussions with U.S. President Donald Trump when asked whether he received assurances from Trump that scrapping countermeasures will kickstart negotiations on a new trade and security deal. Carney responded with yes.
Carney says the focus is now on tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, and preparations are underway ahead of the review of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico free trade agreement next year. Carney added his government will soon announce the first in a series of nation-building projects he promised earlier this year with the passing of Bill C-5. Here's more from the Prime Minister, and then we'll talk about what Donald Trump had to say.
Nobody has a deal with the United States that they used to have. Nobody does. They have fundamentally changed. It's their right. We respect it. They have fundamentally changed their trade policy. They have new objectives. And they haven't just talked about those objectives. They put in place tariffs, and they have signed a series of trade deals, including with the European Union, including with others, that have put those into effect. Okay? So we're in a position where we have held out, not signed a deal that we don't agree with or that we don't think is in the best interest of Canadians, but and focused on, and we will remain focused on those strategic sectors.
Meantime, U.S. President Donald Trump commented on today's announcement from the Oval Office.
We are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday, so I think it'll be good.
And CP24's Beatrice Faisman has been following the latest developments on this trade war. She joins us live with reaction. There's been a lot of that reaction. Let's start with what Pierre Poilievre had to say. He said something about elbows, Beatrice.
Certainly the campaign here in this country, Lena and Sija, has been elbows up, essentially an analogy being used to have Canada fight back against these tariffs imposed by the U.S. administration, now dating back to February. So the campaign has been elbows up. We saw it during the Prime Minister's election campaign, and now the Conservative leader, the opposition leader, is saying Mark Carney's elbows have all but disappeared altogether. Here's more from Pierre Poilievre.
His elbows have mysteriously gone missing. And this call follows on other concessions. He promised during the campaign he would have dollar-for-dollar retaliation. He pulled that back. He made concessions on the military while getting nothing in return. He pulled back on his digital services tax, a terrible tax, but you'd think he'd get something in return for it. Nothing. And today, he removed even almost all of the tariffs on the United States and got none lifted from Canada.
And so other political leaders have also been vocal about the fact that they feel the Prime Minister should have dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. when it comes to certain goods and services. For example, the steel, aluminum, auto, lumber sectors, they are not part of the conversation that we're having today. There's still very much tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, lumber, and autos crossing down to the States. The U.S., though, has a higher tariff percentage than Canada when it comes to importing Canadian goods stateside. And so the Prime Minister was questioned by reporters. How can you say that today is a win, a show of strength, by essentially matching what the U.S. did under the CUSMA goods while still, being devastated in other sectors? And so essentially, Carney said now is not the time to deal with this situation with elbows up. That will come. But right now, it's about negotiation with the U.S. administration, something that now has to happen through the spring as the two sides sit down and try to come up with the next iteration of the CUSMA deal. So you heard from Pierre Poilievre. Let's hear now from reaction from the business community, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, who does support the Prime Minister's move today. Listen.
It's one of the small steps that will allow for some reprieve, some cost reprieve for small businesses. I mean, all of our members that we're talking to have faced much higher expenses. They're seeing lower consumer revenue and customer demand, even in Canada, losing some of those contracts. So it just adds that reprieve that some small businesses really need at this time.
Meanwhile, we're also hearing from some of the unions. Unifor represents hundreds of thousands of workers across this country. The head of the national chapter of Unifor simply saying that removing retaliatory tariffs on these CUSMA-covered goods undermines Canadian workers and weakens Canada's bargaining position in an escalating trade war. Prime Minister Carney spoke to Trump yesterday. The two have agreed to continue negotiations, and this is seemingly an olive branch that Prime Minister Carney has decided to give the U.S. president as it comes to dealing with this situation, very likely for many months to come still. Lena and CJ.
Okay, trying out a different strategy. Beatrice Vaisman with more on Reaction. Thank you. Turning now to some other news we are following stateside. Police say multiple people, including children, are dead following a bus crash east of Buffalo.
Yeah, this is a developing story. That bus with 52 people on board lost control on Interstate 90 while returning to New York City from Niagara Falls. The information coming into our newsroom is obviously fluid at this point, but here's what we can tell you. The exact number of people who have been hurt or killed hasn't been confirmed yet. 20 people, though, have been taken to a trauma center in Buffalo. Officials are describing this as a very active scene. State police say the driver is alive and well, and they are working with him, and they have a good idea of why that bus lost control.
It's 5:17, 26 degrees. You're watching live at 5.
The United Nations has declared a famine in Gaza City, the first time it's done so in the Middle East. More on that coming up.
The UN has officially declared a famine in Gaza City, the first time it's done so in the Middle East, saying 500,000 people face catastrophic hunger.
The UN-backed IPC panel says famine is now likely to spread across that territory. The UN's emergency relief coordinator is blaming Israel, accusing it of systematic obstruction of aid deliveries to the Gaza Strip. UN agencies have long been warning of the deteriorating humanitarian situation and rising hunger. Israel's foreign ministry is reacting to this, calling the report false and biased, saying the famine declaration is based on what it claims are Hamas lies laundered through organizations with vested interests.
Please read the IPC report, cover to cover. Read it in sorrow and in anger. Not as words and numbers, but as names and lives. Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine.
We are seeing people and children dying from hunger. We are seeing pregnant and breastfeeding women being malnourished. This will have long-term consequences on those who are going through the experience of malnutrition. It has to stop. At what point really this can no longer be tolerated?
And reaction from Israel today, with protesters rallying outside the home of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They are demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and the return of hostages. It comes as Israel's defense minister warns that Gaza's largest city would be destroyed unless Hamas yields to Israel's terms. Families say Netanyahu isn't doing anything to secure the hostages' release and are calling on the President Trump to back them up. 50 hostages are still being held in Gaza. 20 of them are believed to be alive.
Well, the World Health Organization says climate change-driven heat is a public health crisis for workers in Canada and all around the globe.
The WHO and World Meteorological Organization say outdoor workers in physically demanding jobs are at high risk of heat stroke, dehydration, and cardiovascular damage. The report notes people working indoors in hot, humid conditions are also vulnerable and have the risk of heat exhaustion increases when the core body temperature rises beyond 38 degrees. Experts are urging governments and employers to develop heat health plans, including ways for workers to take breaks and get out of the sun.
It's now 5:23, 26 degrees out there. This is Live at 5.
Fan Expo Canada is underway. This is a live look at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. We'll take you there next and show you all the action. Well,
comics, cartoons, superheroes, and horror have returned to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre with Fan Expo Canada in town for yet another year.
And that's where we find our CP24's Melissa Duggan, who joins us live with more. Melissa, I bet you are running into a lot of interesting characters today.
Definitely. A lot of costumes, a lot of super fans. You never know what you're going to find here at Fan Expo. This place is packed, and you never know who you're going to run into. We got some celebrities. We got Ron Perlman over here. You might remember him from Hellboy, from Sons of Anarchy, doing autographs right now, taking photos with fans. Every once in a while, he'll walk around the booth and pose with fans. Of course, this isn't free. You got to hand over some cash for this experience. And also William Shatner, Canadian, star of Star Trek, of course, recently been to space himself, signing autographs with people. And I wonder if we could go say hello. Should we try it out? Mr. Shatner. Mr. Shatner, where was CP24? Can we say hello? Mr. Shatner, where was CP24? Okay, he's posing with fans right now. We're going to see if we could say hello. We might get kicked out of here. That's okay if that's the case. Hello, sir. Where was CP24? I wonder if I could say a quick hello to you, Mr. Shatner.
What's that?
Hi, I'm with local news, CP24. I wonder if I could say hello to you. How are you?
I've been waiting for you all afternoon. How are you?
Terrific. How's the fan experience here today?
Oh, it's Canadian. It's a Canadian fan experience.
What's it like to have that Canadian connection?
What it's like. It's not bad. That's so Canadian. My sister's in Montreal. I call them, how's it going? Not bad. Is that good or is that bad? I'm having a not bad experience here.
You know, I've been thinking so much about your time in space when you came down, those words that you spoke. It really has, because it was so touching, and on a daily basis.
On a daily basis?
I wonder,
rising or setting?
Have you given more thought to it since you've been on the ground a little bit longer?
I have. Just a vision of thankfulness, a prayer of thankfulness of having come back to Earth.
That's very beautiful. Anything else you want to say to people in Toronto, your fans that are watching?
I'll be here tomorrow. Okay. And your listening audience, your viewing audience, should come tomorrow and enjoy the whole thing.
Well, thanks so much for that. Thanks for letting us jump in here. I really appreciate it. Let's talk to some fans as well, why they want to meet William Shatner. Hi there. Why do you want to come meet this actor?
You know, Star Trek was an integral part of my childhood. I grew up watching Captain Kirk, and I'm missing my dad today because he would be so happy to be here. And Star Trek showed us we could be anybody, but we could be part of the big team up there, right? You know, regardless of gender, race, faith, ethnicity, whatever, you know.
Yeah, really so message, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And I can't think of any other show like that even now. So it's a pleasure to meet Mr. Shatner.
Wonderful. Have a great experience there. Thanks so much. Okay, so you never know who you're going to be able to talk to as well. It was very generous of him to share his time with us. 94 years old, if you can believe it. Lots going on here this weekend, celebrating the 40th anniversary, by the way, of Back to the Future. We know that Michael J. Fox isn't far away. Christopher Lloyd here as well. They're going to be having a fan experience a little bit later on. Maybe we'll be able to talk to them. For now, I'm going to throw it back to you, Lena and Seja.
Is he really 94? I did not know that. That's unbelievable. Yeah. And you know what, Melissa? We've been saying this off camera as well, but I just got to say on camera as well. You're such a pro. That was a great interview. Thanks so much. It's 5:29 now, 26 degrees. Thanks, Melissa. You're watching Live at 5.
Now, police, they are expected to provide an update on a stabbing of an elderly woman in Scarborough shortly, a woman in her 80s fighting for her life. Here's a live look at the scene this hour. Police say a suspect is in custody, but we'll get the very latest coming up in a few minutes. Stay with us. Happening now, police are providing an update into a stabbing of a senior woman in Scarborough. Let's listen in live.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Maslowski. I'm a duty senior officer here to give you an update with a stabbing investigation. At approximately 1:40 this afternoon, Toronto Police responded to a call for a stabbing in a residence in the area of Shepherd Avenue East and McCowan Road. When officers responded, they found a victim with significant injuries. That victim was transported by paramedics to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. Officers did locate a suspect and arrested that suspect a short distance away. We are not looking for any additional suspects. Our thoughts go out to the family of this victim, and I will take a few questions. I'm sorry? The victim lived in the residence? Yes. That is correct. A woman in her 80s is in life-threatening condition right now, yes. Pardon me? Have you narrowed that down at all, the age, or is it just 80s? I can say she's in her late 80s. Do we know the relationship between the suspect and the... I will not say, I will not get into the relationship of the suspect and the victim. However, I can say that they do live in the same residence. Can you tell us anything more about the suspect? I can say that the suspect is a female young person.
Is the person under the age of 18?
That's correct.
Okay.
The accused is under the age of 18. Yes, it's a female young person. Correct.
You spoke of significant injuries. Do appear to be like edge weapon sort of injuries? What type of injuries are you talking about?
I'm not going to go into the specifics of it. We can draw an inference. We're responding to a stabbing call, and so yes, this victim in her late 80s is in life-threatening condition right now at hospital. So, like I said, our thoughts go out. We are not looking for any additional suspects, and I'll take one more question.
Can you talk about? You said that the accused, the person in custody, was located a short distance away. Can you elaborate on that?
I can, but for the benefit of the investigation, I can just say it is a short distance away, and that person was taken into custody without incident.
And can you just talk about, we understand there's a family that lived in that home. There are other people living in that home. What is the toll of something like this, for officers, for the community, for the family to come home to this, on a regular Friday afternoon?
Right. Well, I can tell you, it's very tragic, and our thoughts go out to the family. I can't even imagine the heartbreak dealing with such a significant incident, as well as the family, as well as the neighborhood, quite frankly. But I can tell you that the Toronto Police, works with victim services. Those services have been offered, and they do a fantastic job, as well as we have a whole network of support for the community. It's called Safe TO, and that has also been activated. Thank you very much for your time today, and I wish you a good afternoon.
Is the victim still alive, just to be clear?
All right, hearing from Toronto Police after an elderly woman was stabbed in Scarborough this afternoon near Shepherd and McCowan. The details here are pretty disturbing. The victim, a woman in her late 80s, she's in hospital with life-threatening injuries. But we're now learning the suspect is a young female, someone under the age of 18. She was located a short distance away from the crime scene. We now know that the victim lived in that residence and the suspect also lived in that same residence. This investigation continues and police will not confirm their relationship at this time. They are appealing for witnesses to come forward. Our crime analyst Steve Ryan is live at that scene. We're going to have more with him coming up throughout the evening.
And turning now to the latest on the trade war, where Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is ending counter tariffs on American goods covered by the CUSMA Free Trade Agreement, while they remain on key sectors like auto, aluminum, and steel.
Carney made the announcement a day after discussions with U.S. President Donald Trump. When asked whether he received assurances from Trump that scrapping countermeasures will kickstart negotiations on a trade and security deal, Carney responded with yes.
Now, Carney says the focus is now on tariffs on steel, aluminum, autos, and preparations are underway ahead of the review of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement next year. Carney added his government will soon announce the first in a series of nation-building projects he promised earlier this year with the passing of Bill C-5.
I'm in the negotiations, so I have a sense of how the negotiations are. This puts us, and directly the conversation the President and I had yesterday, is that we'll be following up in short order, he and I, on the progress on our discussions. So the teams are engaged, so re-engaging on this. This helps accelerate that. Look, but it's a negotiation. But there's no guarantees in these things. But the basis of this is we're matching what the United States has done.
So again, this comes after the Prime Minister and President jumped on the phone yesterday, and the reaction from the White House today was swift. Here's U.S. President Donald Trump commenting on today's announcement from the Oval Office.
I like them. Look, I'm fighting for the United States. Canada and Mexico have taken a lot of our business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. We're hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it.
CP24's Beatrice Vaisman has been following the latest developments in the trade war and joins us live with reaction. And Beatrice, the opposition has really talked about, being tough. What more are we hearing from people?
Certainly, we've heard criticism from the federal Tories, really, since the onset of negotiations from the Canadian government and the U.S. government, and the need for Canada to stand tough in the face of really a lot of bullying from the United States since this trade war first started, since we even got the threats of it. Of course, we know today Prime Minister Mark Carney met virtually with cabinet. He spoke yesterday with Donald Trump. There are premiers across this country who believe that Canada should be matching dollar for dollar every single tariff that the United States has imposed on Canadian goods. It was a couple of weeks ago that Trump signed an executive order essentially eliminating tariffs on any goods covered by CUSMA. But the reality is the U.S. still has higher tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, lumber, and autos than Canada has in the reverse. And so a lot of people today commenting, well, if we're going tit for tat, Canada's not still on a level playing field. Business communities, though, they feel as though many of them feel as though this is a positive move and will hopefully help continue to allow small businesses to flourish on this side of the border. Here's what we heard from a prof from a university earlier today about this new announcement.
Tariffs are simply bad. It's a tax on consumers. So us, having, it's not great for our products to be taxed by the Americans. It increases the costs for Americans, makes it less likely for them to buy our things. But equally, when we do countervailing tariffs, it makes things more expensive from the U.S. So this is a good step.
And more reaction as well. Here's Premier Doug Ford, who has, again, long spoken about tit for tat, dollar for dollar tariffs. He said, I spoke with Prime Minister Carney following his announcement to stress the need for an agreement with the United States. If the federal government can't actually achieve it, they need to hit back hard against U.S. tariffs and provide additional supports for the workers and businesses, specifically in the auto, steel, aluminum, and lumber sectors. Unifor, which represents tens of thousands of workers across this country, feel as though this is ultimately undermining Canada's leverage when it comes to negotiations with the U.S., especially considering CUSMA set to be renegotiated in the coming months. Back to you.
All right, Beatrice Vaisman reporting live. Thanks so much for this. It's 5:40, 26 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, we'll check in with our crime analyst, Steve Ryan, at the scene of a shocking stabbing in Scarborough. A woman in her 80s has life-threatening injuries, and the suspect is a young female under the age of 18.
Back now to our top story. Police say a suspect is in custody after a stabbing in Scarborough that left a woman in her 80s with critical injuries.
And Toronto police just updated the media on this case. Some of those details are unnerving. Let's go right to the scene. Our crime analyst, Steve Ryan, joins us with the very latest. There's a couple of things I want to get your reaction to, if I can, Steve. First of all, the suspect is a young female under the age of 18, and the victim's suspect, we're learning, live in the same residence.
Yeah, this certainly does sound like some sort of domestic situation, Lena. Now, that didn't come from the police, of course, but just trying to read between the lines after listening to that press conference. So it does appear as though the woman in her 80s and the young person both resided at the same house, and that this woman was stabbed, significant injuries, the officer said, multiple stab wounds. She's been rushed to hospital where she remains in serious condition. And it appears as though the young person had walked away from the scene and the police were able to apprehend her just a short distance away.
And Steve, what else can you tell us about this investigation right now? Given that this was a young person, they're not looking for anyone else right now. What would the focus be?
Well, motive, right? Motive, history behind this young person. I mean, people under the age of 18 years old just don't randomly decide to stab one of their loved ones or family members just out of the blue. So there may be some history here with regards to what this young person may have been experiencing, but it is an isolated incident, so there is no or has not been a threat to public safety. Everything that was done underneath the same roof where the young person and the woman in her 80s lived. Now, it does appear as though after the woman was stabbed, she did make her way out onto the driveway, because we spoke with a neighbor when we arrived on scene, and they saw the woman on her driveway in distress, of course, needing help, and paramedics attended to her as soon as they arrived on scene. And it was just a short time later that the police were able to apprehend the young woman under the age of 18 years old.
What a terrifying situation for everybody in that neighborhood. Steve Ryan reporting live from Scarborough tonight. Steve, thanks so much for this. We are going to take a quick break now. You're watching Live at 5 on Toronto's Breaking News, CP24.
And coming up next, we'll talk to a Barrie couple who was supposed to be getting married right now but had to cancel because of the Air Canada strike.
Welcome back. We have more tonight on the fallout from that Air Canada strike. A Barrie couple was supposed to be getting married right now, this hour in Cancun, Mexico, but they were forced to cancel their destination wedding because of the Air Canada strike.
And for more on their story, we are joined live by the beautiful couple, Juan and Becca Lopez. Thanks so much for joining us today. And first off, we are just so sorry about what happened. Take us through how things unfolded the last couple of days and how your plans fell apart.
Yeah, so it's definitely, thank you for having us, first of all. It's definitely been a whirlwind these past few days, especially now that it got closer to the actual wedding date. We have some family and friends that are there right now. And while we're so happy that they're enjoying the time, we can't help but be sad that we're not there to celebrate our actual wedding and go through all the efforts and planning that we did for this day. So we've definitely just been going through it together, kind of just being there for each other and have the support of our family and friends there.
So some of your family and friends are there in Cancun, and that's because they did not fly with Air Canada. I think you mentioned that there were about 10 family members and friends who decided to do that. What are you hearing from them? How horrible is that?
Well, as horrible as it can be to be on the sunny beach in Cancun, of course, but the aftermath is still something that they're dealing with a little bit in terms of just having uncertainty about what to do. And, in the moment, we didn't really know what was going on, if we were going to go ultimately or not. And it got to a point where some of these folks, they might have already been on flights, or they weren't able to have any of their trips or other reservations canceled. And so they ended up going through with it, which we're very grateful for. And we want to wish them all the best and to enjoy the time as best as they can. But in terms of the actual wedding, the reason why they went there obviously isn't going to be fulfilled, and we don't really know when that's going to be finalized until further notice. We're kind of just taking it a day at a time, and we'll come back to the planning eventually and kind of have to figure out how to regroup on that.
So yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, is the wedding postponed? And I guess you have to figure things out before you can decide on another date.
Yeah, so unfortunately, as of right now, I guess you can say it's postponed. We did have to cancel all the plans in Mexico, so with the resort and all of that, until further notice, because there was no light to look that. Sorry, there was nothing that looked like we were going to get there anytime soon. So right now we're just kind of taking it day by day, and we're not really there yet to decide on when that's going to be. But we're in hopes that we're going to have to obviously do that sometime when we can do exactly what we want to do.
And guys, how are you just processing all of this right now? I imagine this is something you couldn't have imagined for your wedding day. How are you guys holding up?
Well, we were really hopeful that the plans ultimately, we would find some kind of solution, or there would be some kind of workaround. I think, ultimately, as the days and the hours kept creeping by, we realized it wasn't going to be feasible, and we had our moments of sadness. We definitely cried. We definitely poured our emotions out. But now, like you said, it's kind of realizing where to go from here. We don't really know what the next step is in terms of the actual planning. It's just figuring out what our next steps are and how to kind of organize everything. I think the reality is it's pretty complicated to have all of the same group that we wanted to, especially because there are some folks that are coming from overseas. But that I think is ultimately what we'd like to do, see if there's something that we can recreate ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about it, like, it takes months and months to plan a wedding, and nobody knows that better than you two, and you've got family and friends coming in from all over. That sounds so horrific. The last thing I just want to ask you is, what about the fees and the deposits for the wedding in Cancun? Are you going to be reimbursed for that?
Now we're still waiting on some answers for that. Unfortunately, there were some that were non-refundable deposits, and as much as people wanted to understand our situation, unfortunately, we did sign contracts and all of that. So we are trying to get reimbursements through Air Canada because that's what we feel that we're entitled to, given that we were given that we were only given 12 hours notice of the cancellation of our flight, with nowhere to kind of go from there.
Oh, that is just so heartbreaking. Well, the both of you, thank you so much for joining us, and we are truly wishing you all the best and hope that you can still have your dream wedding. Thanks so much.
Yeah, Juan and Becca, thank you so much for making time for us. We know it's been a really, really stressful week, and good luck to both of you. We'll be thinking of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Have a
All
great
right,
night.
it's 5:53, 26 degrees. This is Live at 5.
Fan Expo Canada is underway. This is a live look at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. We'll take you there live next. Comics, cartoons, superheroes, and horror have returned to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre with the Fan Expo Canada in town for another year.
CP24's Melissa Duggan joins us with more. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, so kind of a big event that's being celebrated here tonight is the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. There's going to be an evening of kind of a panel situation with a lot of the big stars, some fan Q&As also being offered at that point. But leading up to that, there's also a chance for fans to get an autograph with the stars, get a photo with them. So right across this area, we're seeing Christopher Lloyd. He was here just a moment ago. At Mary Steenburgen, she is still giving out some autographs at this point. Bob Gale next to her. He's the co-writer of the film, actually. Heather Locklear as well. Claudia Wells, you might remember some of those names as well from the film that came out in 1985, if you can believe it. Of course, the big star, Michael J. Fox. He was also here giving autographs. His situation, a little bit different. Of course, we know that he does have Parkinson's, but he still is able to interact with fans. He was actually in an area behind a curtain. So fans were lining up. It was, across the convention center where we saw the lineup for him. Fans were able to go in there and get a photo with him as well. And he was also signing different memorabilia, that kind of thing. He has since left the area along with Christopher Lloyd. They're getting ready for this event to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the film. I wonder if maybe we could talk to some fans waiting in line right now to talk to Mary Steenburgen and getting her autograph right now. Hey there, guys. We're live on CP24. Obviously, you're wearing the Back to the Future T-shirt. What does the movie mean to you?
It's my favorite movie of all time. It's a really special movie. It's perfect. There's very little flaws with it. The acting was great. It's hilarious. It's the perfect movie in my opinion.
And you're lining up to get an autograph right now?
Yes, I am. Yes, I have a list of them here, and I'm just trying to add as many as I can.
You've already met Christopher Lloyd as well?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, sweet man. He was such a nice man.
Are you going to be going to the event tonight where they're going to be talking about some of their experiences?
Yes, I am.
Terrific. Okay, I'll let you get down. Thanks so much for taking time for us. We appreciate it. Okay, so talking to some fans there who are going to be talking to some actors, getting some autographs as well as the event continues. By the way, Fan Expo, it's continuing all weekend long, Saturday, Sunday as well. Oh, we see lots of fans in costumes. Looks like Christopher Lloyd's character from the movie as well. We're now going to throw things back to you guys.
All right. Melissa Duggan reporting live from Fan Expo. It's back for another year. And look at all the amazing looks. So much to enjoy there. You're watching Toronto's breaking news, CP24, 26 out there tonight, feeling more like 29. It's been a gorgeous day in the GTA. Thanks so much for watching.